This is Joseph Lucero with Powerlifting Technique. And today, what we're going to talk about is the Meadow Row. So, we're going to talk about Meadow Rows. What are they? How do you perform them? We're going to give you a demonstration on how to properly execute them. And we're going to also talk about, is there familiarity with the Meadow Rows, the T-bar rows, things like that, and who created it? So, first of all, I want to make sure that I note John Meadows, who passed away. He is the inventor of this movement. He had a huge impact on the fitness and strength industry. So what is the Meadow Row? The Meadow Row is when you perform a row from like a landmine position, if you will. In this video right here, you're seeing me actually perform the movement. And what's happening is I don't have an authentic landmine setup. So what I did do was I put a number at the end of the barbell and I allowed the indentation of the plate to be where the bar freely moves about. And I loaded the bar on the opposite end with a plate, so it's elevated, and I'm performing a row from a bent over position. Now, I could perform this row hand supported if I needed help with my core, but I like to do this movement without hand support so that I load my core muscles, which also leads me into what muscles are we using with this movement. So the muscles you're using, especially if you're not hand supported, you're using all your pulley muscles, the lats, the traps, the rear deltoids, the biceps, and my core to stabilize myself within the movement as well. Now, if you have the ability to, you can actually do the Meadow Row inside like a T-bar setup. Now, in this video, I actually have a T-bar chest supported setup. And what I did was I took the attachment and I put it to the floor. Instead of putting it inside the hook in the middle where it's elevated, I took it off there and then I put a plate down so it's elevated. That basically made my own landmine setup. But with all that being said, okay, having watched the footage, what muscles am I prioritizing? So like I mentioned before, it's all the pulley muscles, but there's a difference. So with the Meadows row, you'll notice that your elbow is more outward. So there's three planes of movement you have to understand. And I know that I define them in almost all my videos, but I just got to make sure you hear it this time. Sagittal movement is forwards and backwards, up and down. Okay. The transverse plane is away and towards the midline in this fashion. And then frontal is in a way and towards the midline in this fashion. So jumping jacks are frontal, Russian twists are transverse, elbow curls are sagittal. With the Meadow Row, because you're going outward and inward, you're copying and mimicking that transverse plane. Interestingly enough, because your elbow is leading the movement, you are going to prioritize your real deltoids bunch, and you're going to prioritize your trapezius muscle. And if you are thinking hard enough about it, maybe your rhomboids too, as long as you're allowing your scapula, those flat bones in the back, to protract and retract when you hit the movement. The Meadows Row is a great movement because, for example, a bent row, you lead with your elbows inward. That's going to be a little bit different than leading with your elbows outward. You're going to get a little bit more phrase on that shoulder joint, which could aid you in certain parts of your performance. So again, my name is Joseph Lucero with Powerlifting Technique. Hopefully you liked the video. Subscribe, leave a comment, let us know what you're thinking.